I felt, thanks be to God.
As we got into the 60s, the world was exploding, especially in the United States.
The whole hippie movement was in full swing.
Vatican II was an enormous shift. Women religious took this seriously. They took the change seriously, and they were implementing, obviously on the fast track implementing.
What Vatican II asked us to do as religious is to go back to our roots, to find out what it was that our founders were all about and what they wanted us to do.
I was just very moved by the call that all people are called to holiness. The hierarchy, the sisters, the bishops, the priests, do not have a corner on sanctity or holiness.
One of the best ways that we could serve was to start adopting secular dress so that we could be more in relationship and not put on a pedestal. We didn't belong there.
Our founding documents said we were to be part of the community.
We're here to make the invisible God visible by how we act, how we serve, how we love, how we pray. And you don't have to measure it. You just live it. But that was not where we were in 1970.
The habit was so uncomfortable, you know, that thing about you.
In fact, I felt all the time I was looking out of a picture frame, plus they were clumsy, hot. It bothered me kind of. And you had to make your own habit. And I was not a sewer, and I did not enjoy it. But you got used to it. I mean, we had one of the nicer habits of nuns. We didn't have a big thing like the BBMs was supposed to remind them of a coffin. Ours was simple.
Our habit was what a 17th century French widow would wear.
And the days that we were founded in 1650, women could only be on the street if they were with their father, their husband, or they were wearing widow's garb. There was no spiritual reason for it, anything else, so I think that's what started that change.
I entered at the time where we received a full habit and went through the rituals of the wedding dress. And then almost immediately, we were starting to take off pieces of it until we were in complete contemporary dress.
Skirts, you know, below the knee.
I think that we had 4 colors to go from.
Brown, black, tan, gray, subdued colors. I hated the subdued colors.
The thing I appreciated was anonymity. To be able to go shopping and not be pointed at.
The community said, those who wish can change. You can't go back and forth. It really did change the view of religious life for women.
I was actually relieved when we could take the habit off, because in the hospital, anything that's below your waist gets on the floor contaminated. And the rosary beads, you know, they were beautiful. They hung on the side, but that was not good in getting caught on the rails and everything.
It also opened up different ministries for us, because the emphasis when I entered was very definitely teaching and nursing.
Before Vatican II, we were really in teaching and nursing, and that was not our call.
There's work to be done in other places other than schools and hospitals.
Vatican II was this call to please explore your foundations, explore your roots.
We realized that we had a lot of monasticism about our congregation. And we're not a monastic order. Our founders weren't monastic. They were out there doing the work. They were out in the streets.
What Vatican II did was to call us to that, to call us each to look at our relationship with each other. How could we deepen that, and how could that motivate us in terms of our ministry?
When the sisters began to leave schools and go on to other ministries, many people were shaking their finger at us, and here you are deserting the children and deserting the parents. And there was some tensions there among the sisters, understandably so.
They were using their gifts and going out, out, out. And that caused some tension, because if you were in a traditional ministry, I'll call it that for purposes here, but at the same time, then other people were doing other things, it caused them to live differently too. It caused their schedule to be different. They began to look different. There were a lot of tensions in our chapters when we would gather for assemblies, you know, about what direction we ought to be taking. And some people wanted to move now and farther, faster, and others were like, wait, it's too fast and it's not the right path. And so we had a lot of, it was spicy conversations at the table.
I was convinced, as so many of us were, that this is where the church is going.
Basically, what they did is I think they freed up community so the members could be intentional. No longer did we have one person who was going to tell us what to do, when and where and how.
Traditionally, religious communities had a superior, and she was the one who ran the show. And so we thought, well, let's try group government. What does that mean? Well, you don't have one superior who has the authority. The whole group has the authority.
We dialogued about decisions we had to make. Nobody has a superior anymore. That's good.
I give credit to Sister Mary Bridget and Sister Grace Hand, who were very wise leaders during those years.
To this day, I'm grateful to our leaders who allowed that to happen, because it was up to them to say, yeah, you go ahead and do that, and we'll support you, and here's some seed money that you can start doing this particular type of work.
I think there are periods in history you come to a point where there's a crossover. You have to leave behind some things and go forward with something new.
In our own ministries, many of us left the institutions, our schools, and the hospital, and we went out trying to live the preferential option for the poor.
It intensified in us a sense of social justice. This is why we were founded.
It freed me up. I have very strong convictions on social justice. So it gave me options to move toward working with the poor.
I think that's very important, and it has affected us very much.
It affected us radically, and we responded radically.